biggest trends in funeral service in 2020 has got to be live streaming. And we're here with OneRoom, James Montgomery and Natalie Corey, who actually think it should be one-rooming, right?
One-rooming, yes. Yes.
So tell us, what was 2020 like for you? Because I had not really heard much about families wanting to see things on video, and then it changed overnight.
Yeah, well said. I mean, obviously live streaming's been around for a long time, and obviously the pandemic kind of took from niche to standard offering. And so, yeah, it was a busy year for us, helping as many funeral homes so they could provide this valuable service to their families. And obviously, families couldn't make it, and so having the ability to record and live stream became paramount. It became very important.
Well, it's like Zoom wasn't really part of our everyday vernacular.
Yes.
And now we're all Zooming all the time. So it's the same, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And so, like Zoom has continued to be part of our lives going forward, maybe forever, we think the same for live streaming potentially? Or how do you see that as something going forward in our profession?
Before the pandemic, we would have some people who'd request it once in a while. And of course, then COVID hit and everyone wanted it, right? They couldn't be together. There were so many regulations and policies. And at this point, it's really become a true part of that arrangement process. At this point, every funeral director should be offering it to every single family.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
How we feel about it.
And some people have tried to do it on their own, right? They kind of use Facebook maybe,
right.
Or what do you think is the difference between do it yourself and the OneRoom, the OneRoom experience?
Like everyone knows, with the funeral, you only have one shot. And so when you take it in your own hands, you leave it really to chance. And you could have issues with poor audio, poor internet, and all those issues could ultimately lead to a family being upset. And so when you OneRoom a service, we're looking over your shoulder, we're making things, making sure things that are working. And so ultimately, you can trust that the service is going to work.
I guess that makes sense because maybe a family seeing this funeral home, this funeral for the first time, that's your first opportunity.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, first impressions are very important. And I think that's one thing that not enough people are talking about. And so again, for people watching, for the end user, the online families we like to call them, they might be watching the service online. And again, if it doesn't sound good, doesn't look good, that ultimately is a reflection upon the funeral home. And first impressions are important to us as a company because we know they're important to the clients that work with us. And so, it all goes back to you got one shot, why chance it?
And now I've seen on Facebook where it says, this is partially muted, like there's some kind of copyright violation. Why does that happen, and how would OneRoom handle that situation?
So anytime you play copyrighted music, Facebook has programs that will take that stream down. And so with us, our viewer is private. And so we don't have computer programming searching for copyrighted music. And so it's not an issue when we've done, we've been doing this since 2008 and we've never had that issue.
How private is it? Like, is there a password, or how do families access that?
No, that's a good question, because one thing that does separate us from streaming on social media is you have privacy controls. If the family wants to make it public, we can absolutely do that. But some families are more private. And so we have privacy controls to where the family ultimately has 100% control of who can and who cannot watch in this case. And just having the choice is very important.
Yeah, that would make a big difference. And what do you think is really, what stands out for OneRoom when you're thinking, there are other providers in the industry, or maybe somebody local. What do you think is really that difference of a OneRoom experience?
So I think what differentiates us is, first of all, we have, it's an automated system. So as a funeral director, you simply set it and you forget it. So the cameras are rolling, you don't have to worry about the technological aspect. Also for the family, the online viewer, we have technological support. We have a help desk available to them as well, so they're not bombarding the funeral home with phone calls. And also we offer continuing support along the whole entire way. It's not that we build this relationship relationship with the funeral home, they install the cameras and we disappear. Absolutely not. We offer training, there's constant mentoring and support. Anything they need, we always have somebody available. So that's pretty much, I think, what would differentiate us from the rest.
So the funeral director is not trying to turn on the equipment at the last minute?
Yeah, there's a little bit of training that's involved. It's literally a 30-minute training, and it's just how to get into the portal and how to schedule the service. And they could be with the family on Monday, they have a service on Friday, and they can schedule it that day, and they don't have to worry about it. The cameras are going to go on and off as they were programmed to do. So that's a really great benefit.
Wow. Well, I think we could all use a little more automation
Yes.
in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
talking
you.
to us today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.